And here we are at a remote location, somewhere not in the park, not away from the rainstorm. And we're going to finish this show. We have about 20 minutes left. And I'm only on page 3.
Right.
What's the name of the show again?
The Mary Elizabeth Jones Variety Hour.
Yes, yes. Thank you, thank
Yes,
you.
yes.
So we don't usually do a part 3, but we got to fill the hour. So
Right, right.
I've done shows where we had to the internet went out, and we'd always and I think there's one show I did with I think with Vince. It was like five five parts in 1 hour,
Right,
but
right.
we'll get it all done, and
Yeah.
then it gives you a chance to see
Right,
get it freshen up
right,
again and
right.
everything. I
Yeah.
was talking about the Big Chill.
Yes, The Big Chill. That's a good movie.
Now, yeah, you remember what the movie was about?
It was about like these like group of people that lost a friend of theirs.
That's right. They're all going to a funeral.
And
They were like 60s radicals in college, and they'd all kind of matured. They're all like
right,
I
right.
think they were in their 40s at the time,
Yeah.
and it was and how they were disappointed in things in life. And some of them actually
Right,
was still remain true. Jeff
right.
Goldblum, I
Yeah.
remember, was
I
in
like
this
him
movie,
too.
and he was really good in this movie.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever saw Jeff Goldblum up to that point being anything really that where he was good. And this movie kind of did it all. Lawrence
Right.
Kasdan wrote it, and but what was kind of neat was all the music in it, and it's basically a Motown greatest hits
Yeah,
album.
it's mostly Motown music on
Yeah,
there.
there's
So.
a few hit songs in there that's not Motown, like Three Dog Night Jeremiah. What's that? Jeremiah was a bullfrog and a
Yeah.
joy to the world.
Was a good friend of mine.
I love that song. And then, of course, made a big hit out of the song. Not too many songs have a second run, but this one did. I heard it through the grapevine by Marvin Gaye.
Yeah.
And it was over the credits they did it.
Yeah.
And you know that the body of the dead friend of theirs
Right.
was uh, was Kevin Costner. They never show his face, but that's his neck and arms and everything when they're dressing him
Yeah.
over the credits for the
Yeah.
funeral and
Yeah.
everything. Kevin Costner was actually in the film, but they took his all his scenes out. I think it was flashbacks, and they said that what happened was it was a silly scene, not because the scene was poorly written or poorly acted, but everyone was wearing these wigs and these
Right.
makeup and fake noses. They didn't even look like
Right.
themselves.
Right.
Glenn Close. They looked
Right.
better as their
Right.
current self when the movie
Right.
was made,
Yeah.
85 or something, whenever it
I
came
think
out.
this was like in 1982.
80, maybe 82. Yeah,
Like
that's probably.
earlier 80s.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
came out I think right after Lawrence Kasdan made another film before that called Body Heat, which was
Right.
very good. And with William Hurt, he worked a lot with William Hurt in those days. And this is a really good movie, and this is a really good soundtrack. If you don't, is in fact, I tell you what's good about this album. There's 15 songs on it. If you don't have a big music collection, but want to have some party
Uh-huh.
songs
Yeah.
from Motown,
Yeah.
they're all on here. You
This
know,
is perfect.
Gladys
You know.
Knight and all the
Yeah.
a few Marvin Gaye songs and Please Mr. Postman,
Yeah, this
songs
is
like that.
perfect.
Yeah,
You know, it's like,
yeah.
perfect for a good party.
Now this one I've been listening to. This song this album kind of rescued me. The LP version is
Yeah.
this is Duke
Duke Ellington
and Louis
and
Armstrong,
Louis Armstrong.
the Great Summit,
Oh yeah.
and they had never performed together. In fact, there was a bit of a rivalry who was going to be the top guy in jazz.
Right.
By the time this was recorded, 1960, I think it was 60, Louis Armstrong and Duke Ellington were not as top as they were, but they were
Yes.
still
Yes.
going strong. And this is basically all Duke Ellington songs, and with Louis Armstrong doing the vocals and playing the trumpet. And I think it's like one of the best albums of all time. It is truly a great album. I got to tell you, when I think I mentioned earlier, I lived in Ireland, and there was no jazz to listen to, and I wasn't a big jazz fan.
Right.
But when I came to America, when I came from America to there, I kind of missed jazz. And I went to the library. You know, there was always good music at a
Right.
library,
Yeah.
I got this LP, and they didn't have a whole lot of jazz albums, but they had this one, and I just made a cassette tape of it, and was just playing it all the time.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a song, the Sea Jam Blues is the first song on there, but they don't call it the Sea Jam Blues, they call it Duke's Place with lyrics. They put lyrics to it, and Louis Armstrong sings that, and it's just like all of Duke's hits. You know what? I got to tell you something about Duke Ellington. Duke Ellington outlived Louis Armstrong by about 4 or 5 years,
Right.
and it's important to note that, like when this was recorded in 1960, Duke Ellington was basically known at that time as a traveling jazz orchestra leader that
Right.
played his hits, and nobody heard any new stuff from him. Well, actually,
Right.
during those last 20 years of his life, he was cranking out a lot of music. Not great music like his earlier stuff, but it was still good music. It's similar to what Paul McCartney comes out with a new album every couple of years, and it's all good. But when you go see Paul McCartney, it's all you only want to hear Beatles songs.
Yeah.
Well, same with Duke Ellington. They just wanted to hear in a mellow tone
Right. Yeah.
and Mood Indigo and stuff. And that's no wrong, nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that. I'm sure if you went to see Duke and he played anything other than that, you'd get mad. But the albums are still around of his new stuff, and they're very good. So this is what I was. This is what I really
Right.
enjoyed this album.
Right.
What do you have to say about Duke Ellington or Louis Armstrong?
I own some Duke Ellington.
Yeah.
I have his greatest hits on the
Hmm.
LP on vinyl record, so and
Hmm.
it's really good.
Yeah. He was about he
I like Take the A Train.
take the A train. Yeah. They takes you to Harlem.
Yeah,
I I
and I also love Louis Armstrong too.
Louis Armstrong. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to get some records by him.
Yeah.
At some point. So
They both recorded lots of albums,
yeah,
and Louis was more of an entertainer, while was Duke didn't sing. Obviously, he wrote all those songs.
yeah,
I don't know about. I think he mainly sang standards. Louis Armstrong. It's important to note that Louis Armstrong's biggest hit was one of like recorded like a few years before he died. Just when his career was washed up, he recorded the song "Hello Dolly,"
oh
and
yeah.
now it's kind of associated with him.
I like the duets he made with Ella Fitzgerald too.
Oh yeah. Well, he did albums with Frank Sinatra. He did
Yeah,
albums
oh
with the
yeah.
Mills Brothers. He did
Mills
albums with Bing Crosby,
Brothers.
and they're all good.
Yeah, yeah.
And because he was,
Right.
he knew a tune, and
Yeah.
he could certainly play the tune on the trumpet. Louis Armstrong. A lot of people complained at the time that he was a bit of a clown and was sort of old-fashioned African American performer, but he was. I mean, he sort of started
What
that
did they
deal,
expect?
but he was a very talented man.
Right.
Maybe not a man. Maybe the times went past him,
Yeah.
but now looking back, he did a lot for for his people, and also for him. He was always sweating. I remember he was always wiping
And
his
he
brow.
was like,
I found out years later he smoked pot
that's
every
what I
day.
heard. I
Every
heard
day.
I heard like years ago when if when he used that that white cloth thing,
Yeah.
he's like they had in like marijuana or something.
Where
I don't know if
they
it's true or
it was
not.
I always got the idea he was always sweating because he was probably exhausted from smoking the pot. It does exhaust. From what people tell me, it does exhaust you.
Yeah.
Okay, now also
Right.
also Duke Ellington got his became most famous in the early 1930s and 1920s like Louis Armstrong.
Right.
But he played the Cotton Club a lot,
Yeah.
and I never got a chance to see either one of them because they both
Yeah.
died before I got really into music and jazz.
Right.
But I did get to see the people that
Yeah.
came after him, like Cab Calloway and a lot of famous jazz people, Miles Davis. I
Yeah.
just love jazz music.
Me too.
And
I love jazz, country, rock, soul, classical, the
in
whole nine
fact,
yards.
in fact,
That's
look,
why I'm an album collector.
I think it was Louis Armstrong himself, who said that makes a famous quote that I say almost on a weekly basis, if not a daily basis.
Yeah.
There's only two types of music:
Right.
good and bad. There's no, You go to the record store or the radio station, you see all these different
Yeah.
types of music. No, you like it or you don't like it. Somebody asked me, "Am I supposed to like this? I don't like country, but I like this." And I said, "Well, then like it."
Yeah.
Or I don't like jazz. I was told I don't like jazz, but I like this. I said, well, like it. You got,
Yeah.
you have to open your horizons. I tell people and enjoy certain types of music.
Yeah.
So so I got this wonderful album, and you can get all this online and everything. Now this I've been waiting to show you for a long time, and this is I don't know if it's his last album. It doesn't even have a picture of him. It's called Moondog, Moondog and the London Saxophonic, not philharmonic, but saxophonic, sax pax for a sax,
Oh.
whatever that means. But anyway, this music, you got to hear this music. It's by a guy called Moondog, which I'll tell you about in a moment. Now, this music is very tonal music. You know, you ever heard of Philip Glass, that type of music?
Yes.
It's like this. Only if you don't like Philip Glass, you might like this because this is more melodious. It actually has more of a melody to it.
Yeah.
But I never got to see this guy. He was basically a street performer in New York for
Oh
many
wow.
years. Anyone who's from New York in the 1950s has heard of. I mean, has seen this guy. He performed for free on this on the. He was blind. I don't know where he was from, out west somewhere, like Kansas or somewhere.
Right.
He was a strange guy, probably not all there. And because he was not all there, he created a music different from anything else.
Right.
And this album is really good. It's all saxophones, and it's an orchestra that just sounds just saxophones, and he just layers and layers and layers different music over it. There's a picture of him on the back. Yeah, I
Yeah.
could probably get you a better picture of him somewhere. But that's what he looks like. It looks like the George Bernard Shaw look, the
Yeah.
David Letterman look. But
Right.
he's blind. His name is Lewis Hardin, was his real name. And a lot of people, I mean, people still talk about this guy. You, he the best way I could explain this music, and it's not a very pleasant way to explain it, is this is what the music in my head sounds like. Sometimes I just listen to this album and it
Right.
just bounces in my head, and I said, now I see things clearly.
Right. Right. Right.
Now he made a lot of albums. This is, I think, his last album. I used to be a music critic for Throttle magazine in Richmond. You might remember that. And what happened was they would send you all this stuff to review,
Yeah.
and my you know the manager sent me stuff they thought I could review, and they sent me this, and this was head and shoulders the best thing I ever reviewed. You want to hear good music. Most music you hear is all right, and not if not awful, but it's all right. It's it's passable. This almost like what is this? And then you want to open it up and read the
Right.
liner notes and everything. And I'm gonna try to find a. I don't know if there's a video for this. I'm sure there's a performance of some of the music on here.
Yeah.
And it's Moondog. And the only thing I know about this music, I know very little about other than what New Yorker profiles I read in the New Yorker about them. They come out with one every every few years. They There was a commercial for cars, and they actually had one of the themes from there, and it shook me. He said, "Oh, I've never heard his."
Wow.
And then there was one of his themes was in a movie that Jack Nicholson directed called Drive, he said, which you
Ah.
cannot get on video. And I have a feeling the reason why you can't get it on video is because Moondog never signed a contract for it to be on video.
Oh
So
wow.
so that's a lot of reasons why you don't see certain movies on video is because the music is all tied up in
Oh
knots.
yeah. Right.
That's why I think we talked about this once before. Whenever you make a independent film, get your friends to write original music for it. Don't use popular music because it may run into obstacles along the way.
Right.
So yeah, so and it's a lot of times when you think of street performers, you think of those guys that beat on the cans
Yeah.
on the sidewalk, and sometimes that gets very melodious. Ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum.
Yeah.
If you actually pay attention to what they're doing,
Yeah.
we're sort of on that level. Only it's all
Right.
saxophone.
Yeah. 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 Right.
There was an album I remember. They actually spotlighted in the jazz miniseries, the last episode, where Ornette Coleman
Oh, okay.
came out with an album called Free Jazz, and all it
Oh.
was an album. It was an LP, 20 minutes on each side, and he just improvised both both sides. There was
Right.
nothing was written down or anything, and that was jazz in its purest form, improvisational with a and it was so good that
Wow.
Miles Davis said, "Jazz is dead. This is as
Wow.
far as jazz can go." So that's why Miles went on to do that fusion music
Yeah.
like the pieces of Spain and stuff like that with Evans and stuff because he felt that I got to go in different directions now if I want to keep going. Eventually,
Yeah.
he ended with doing fusion and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Kind of invented fusion. But so have you heard any good music lately?
Oh yeah.
Anything new?
Not really anything like too new, but I've been listening to a lot of Dolly Parton
Dolly
songs
Parton.
since we were in Dollywood.
Yeah, that's all. It's Dolly Parton is the mayor of the town. It looks like. It's like
Yeah. So.
let me tell you, I want to tell you that there's a website on YouTube or a page on YouTube, the Ed Sullivan Show,
Oh yes,
and you could get a lot of good
I've
music.
seen that on. It still comes on TV.
It comes on TV on Me TV every
Sunday.
Sunday at 10 o'clock for a
Yeah.
half hour,
Yeah.
but they are unloading. They put on the good stuff like the Rolling Stones and stuff
Right.
like that, and
Right.
the opera singers and
Yeah.
and the Beatles and Elvis.
Yeah.
But they're putting out on the internet, YouTube,
Right.
almost on a daily basis, three or four
Right.
acts, old time comedians that you never hear, like Smith and Dale.
Oh yeah.
They have the Spanky and Our Gang,
Oh, I like them.
the rock and roll band you saw all the
I
time.
have an album by them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were always on the Ed Sullivan. Stiller and Mira, the
Oh yeah, I
parents of
love
Ben
them. I
Stiller,
love them.
comedians, and so check out. Just go on YouTube and go on the Ed Sullivan. Just Ed Sullivan. You'll find everything.
Yes.
A lot
Yes.
of Jackie Mason, if you
Oh
like Jackie
yes.
Mason. A lot of
Yes.
old
I
time
do.
the Borscht Belt comedians and
Yes.
everything
Yes.
from the
Yes.
Catskills and everything. Also, what you go say?
Remember that old lady comedian named Mom's Mabley?
Mom's
Oh my
Mabley.
gosh, she is
Oh,
so funny.
she is so funny. Yes,
Yeah.
she Whoopi Goldberg narrated a documentary about her, what her real life was like, and she didn't really make it until she was in her 60s. I'm not kidding you. When Mom's Mabley was on and the Merv Griffin show
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the Night Show and the
Yeah.
Ed Sullivan Show, the Smothers Brothers show, I didn't know how old. I didn't know. I had no concept of age. I thought she was like 100 years old or
Wow.
200 years
I
old.
know,
I
but
thought people could live that long.
I guess they probably make her look older so she
Yeah,
could be funny.
they took her teeth out.
Yeah.
She has the famous joke where
The knucklehead joke.
what the
She was saying, I forgot what she actually said, but she said she was talking about somebody being a knucklehead or
she was talking
something.
about. I remember she's always talking about her ex-husband or dead husband or something. She goes, I don't want. She had that. Well, there was a talk that Whoopi was going to play her in a movie, of
Yeah.
her life story, but she wound up just narrating a documentary up to
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And I remember she was talking. She talked like this, and and she had a real street voice, and she said, I was told never to. My husband died. That no good bum. I was told not to say anything bad about the dead, so I'm only going to talk good about the dead.
And
My
that,
husband died.
and that,
Good.
and that old knucklehead.
That old knucklehead. Yeah.
You knucklehead. I forgot what she was actually referring to
Yeah.
though, but it was pretty funny.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
They showed this CBS 50th anniversary special or some sort. They were showing like a clip of that
Of
scene in which she did.
probably from that Sullivan show.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I got to say a few last things before you end the show. Yom Kippur is tomorrow, so that's why we're taping it today,
Yes.
and we're going to show it tomorrow.
Yay.
So I got atone for my sins tomorrow.
Yeah.
The other thing is, Yom Kippur to everybody out there.
Yes.
Also, the other thing is a friend of mine. I don't usually do this, but wrote a book, Gorgeous George. It's called "What's Causing All This," and you can get it on Kindle, and it's on. I think it's $8, and it was just put on. Have you ever written a book?
No, I haven't.
No, I've never written a book either. I've I always joke with Gorgeous George. I did the show with for many years, and I always joke, and I'm in the book a lot. In fact, I think he's harder on me than my haters are. But he's still a friend of mine, and I tell people that he's written a book, and be sure to buy it. and it's an accomplishment for Gorgeous George because he is now one of the few people who have written more books than he's read. So anyway, be sure to read that book. It's called "What's Causing All This." It's "What's Causing All This" by Gorgeous George. It's you can get it on Amazon, just for your Kindle. Eventually, it'll be pages. You
Right.
know.
Okay.
I haven't read it yet myself. I've only looked in the index to see where I'm listening. Read that part, but that's how I read every book. But good luck with that. Anyway, thanks for having me on the
Absolutely.
show. You were a
Anytime.
delight. I've spent so much time with you. We
Yes.
haven't spent too much time lately because we've been both busy doing other
Yeah.
things.
Right.
But I was able to see you on the vacation, and now we're
Yes.
doing shows again. So
Yes.
I'm very
Yeah, we
happy.
had.
Happy fall.
Yes, you too. We've had such a good time around the rides at Dollywood. We rode the flying elephants. We rode the bumper
Mhm.
cars. We rode those antique cars, like the
Yeah,
go karts. And then we rode the train, and I think some other stuff.
yeah.
But I'm not really big on roller coasters. But I kind of like the simple, fun, type like family rides.
It's who you're with that makes
Exactly.
is what makes it fun. So
Yeah.
thank you, Mary Elizabeth.
Absolutely. Yeah. All
So,
right.
you gonna end the show?
Yes.
We're waiting.
I'm just excited till.
I gotta watch Gilligan's Island in a few minutes.
Oh, crap on that. You can watch that anytime. They have repeats. So you're not missing anything. Okay. Well, thank you all for tuning in again, and we apologize we had to get out of the rain earlier. So, and we love you all. God bless. God bless. Take care.